So, this video is going to cover the 5 steps that you need to go through in order to make cold email a profitable long term customer acquisition channel. I'm going to cover each of these steps here. The first one is to gather information from your customers, and you want to have that be direct market feedback. So, you want to look at previously recorded sales calls. You want to look at customer interviews. You want to look at anything in the sales process that gives you information that you can directly leverage in your outreach. And what you want to do when you have that information is you want to set up a hypothesis on message market fit. And basically, message market fit is the ideal message for the market you're targeting with the particular solution you're providing for an issue within that market. Now, this is a hypothesis because it's based on this information we gather in step one. Step three is to create 4 to 5 different angles that we want to test. These are different ways of positioning the offer, different ways of positioning the pain points and the value propositions. And this is something you want to test in the outreach. Now, once you have your angles ready, you want to map out the total addressable markets, or TAM for short, which basically means that you want to find as many people that fit your buyer profile as possible. The reason why you want to do that is because the more people you can find that fit your ideal buyer profile, the more emails you can ultimately send. And the more emails you can send, the faster you're going to get data on what angles actually work. The data becomes more statistically significant because you send more emails. You have a larger data set to work with. And then step five is basically just recycling the TAM every 2 months. So you don't just want to like blast everyone and then it's over. You want to reach out to them every 2 months on a continuous basis for the long term. And the reason why you want to do that is because according to the data we have, basically KPIs stay the same if you reach out to the same list in 2 months' time, because people are in different situations. They didn't remember your first email, they didn't have time to read it back then. So, this is the best way of sort of retargeting your TAM and getting the most out of it and actually managing to get the sufficient amount of touch points that you need in order to convert as many of them as possible. And here's an example of what this TAM mapping exercise looks like. So, in this example here, let's say that we want to target small accounting firms in the US, and let's say we can find 40,000 CEOs of these firms in the US. That's our TAM, that's our total addressable market. And if we send a 3 step sequence, meaning one initial email and 2 follow ups, well, that means we have to send 120,000 emails to reach the entire TAM. And we want to repeat that process every 2 months. So in January and February, we'll send 120,000 emails, we'll test certain angles. And in March and April, we send 120,000 emails again and we test different angles. So we constantly change the way we position your offer and we reach out to the same people in your TAM over an extended period of time. This is how you slowly capture more and more of your market. It's by doing this, it's by retargeting. This is the same thing that happens with any other channel you look at, even with if you're running meta ads. Well, at some point, it's going to run out of people to actually show your ad to. And so at that point, it starts retargeting them. And this is what creates ad creative fatigue in the context of paid advertising, because you have to switch up the way you position your offer. We take that exact same playbook and just apply it to cold email instead. And this is what will give you a huge advantage when you do set up the system here. Now, once you do have your winning scripts, you do your tests, you try different angles, you find a winning angle, well, then you can scale that and you can focus on that particular angle in your outreach. So with this example here, taking the TAM of 40,000 people from the example just before, well, if we get a 5% reply rate on the particular script we have, and then we get a 10% conversion from reply into meeting and a 75% show up rate, that's 150 meetings by reaching out to these 40,000 people. And with a 25% close rate on those meetings, well, that's roughly 37.5 deals closed. And if you have an average lifetime value of a customer of $30,000, well, you just successfully closed over $1 million in sales by doing this. And you can repeat this process. Now, maybe you don't get these exact KPIs the first time around, but that's fine. Even if you get 1,000 replies from the first round of targeting your TAM, once you do your TAM recycling in the 2 months after, you might get another 1,000 replies. And then you actually reached the 2,000 replies from this example here. And this is how it works. This is how we want to capture more and more of the market, get more and more people engaged by simply doing this retargeting play. Now, the next part here, which is really important, is mapping out your real TAM. So instead of just, let's say you're targeting accounting. Let's take that example again. So you put in the accounting filter on your favorite database, maybe that's Apollo, and it gives you a large list of leads. CEOs, you put in the CEO job title filter, you put in accounting as an industry, and you just reach out to that list. What's going to happen is that so much of that data, around 40% of that data, according to our tests, is going to be completely inaccurate. And so what you need to do is you need to dial in your targeting further. And we have created an AI that's capable of generating the right inclusion and exclusion keywords for a database like Apollo. And that will narrow down our search even further by using these keywords. Now we go a step further and we also use AI to pre-qualify this data. And we do this with Clay. So we take this entire list we get from Apollo, we put it into Clay. Clay helps us pre-qualify all these leads. And what that means is that we are left with maybe just 60% of the original list. But this is our real TAM. These are the people that are actually going to engage with your email. And the benefit here is not only just the increased replies and the increased positive reply rates, but also the fact that you will now have less manual spam reports because the outreach is more relevant for the people that you do reach out to. And so it's going to actually increase email deliverability. It's going to make sure that we have a healthier domain infrastructure when we do it this way. Now, you also want to set up a sending automation system. So you don't just want to blast everything from your main domain. You want to set up a decentralized infrastructure of different domains with different email accounts under each, and then connecting that to a sending tool. We use Instantly.ai, which, according to our tests, is the best tool out there for this. And then you take Instantly, you upload your TAM list, and then you start sending emails from this decentralized infrastructure. So this is what we do. This is the best way of actually setting up this system here. I can make a different video about this particular topic because it's a bit more advanced setting this up. If you want us to do it for you, you can also book a meeting with me below. This is what we do. We run these systems, we build them, and just run them and take care of everything I mentioned in this video. Now, one thing that's really important as well when you're going through this whole exercise is that you want to monitor and fix any deliverability issues that might occur. The problem that a lot of people have is that they set up a cold email infrastructure, they start sending, and at some point it will break. Now, if you are a person that is very impatient, well, you'll just leave it there. You say, this stopped working, this channel, for whatever reason, no longer works. The whole market changed overnight. So now we're going to abandon cold outreach. But what you could do instead, if you're smarter, is that you can go ahead and identify what's going on with your email deliverability performance. And that's what we have built a system for. So basically, it analyzes each domain to see if they actually meet performance standards in terms of deliverability. So this is stuff such as checking for public blacklists, inbox placement tests, reply rate monitoring, and the warm-up score. And then we do a holistic we do a holistic sort of test for that particular domain. And if it does not meet the performance standard, then it's automatically replaced with a different fresh domain. And that's how we keep this infrastructure healthy. Even though we send all these emails for months and months and months, this will make sure that it never actually breaks. So these are basically the different steps that you need to go through. So to reiterate, the first step you want to do is collect all the information you can about your ideal customer and what they like, what they don't like, what they need to fix, and what they don't need to fix, so you can make sure that your messaging is optimized. And then the next thing you want to do is go ahead and create different angles based on your initial hypothesis. And then you want to test these angles. And the way you want to test it is by sending as many emails as you possibly can. And in order to send as many emails as you possibly can, we need to map out the entire TAM. We need to find all the different leads in your total addressable market, reach out to them, make sure that your data is actually accurate. So you're targeting the real TAM and not just the surface level TAM based on some vague database search. And then you want to make sure that you are creating an infrastructure that's deliverability optimized. So instead of just blasting tons of emails from your main domain or from a very poor, even if you do the decentralized play that I talked about, it can still be a very poor setup that you have. You want to make sure this is all in place, because if you don't have optimized deliverability, this is all going to crash and burn at some points. So these are the different steps you want to go through. And each of these steps, of course, there's a lot more technical details that I haven't covered in this video, but this is the framework for how you want to think about it. Mapping out the TAM, sending as many emails as possible, doing your testing, and then just retargeting to book as many meetings as possible. If you're looking for a company to set all of this up for you, completely done for you, everything that's just running, generating the leads on complete autopilot, you can book a meeting with me below. I'll be happy to chat with you. We can see if it's a fit. Thank you for watching.